Hey guys, it's your girl Kizzy Rock, and yes, Kizzy Rock is my birth given name. Happy Tuesday. Want to say hey to all my subscribers, new as well as season. I have a quick word for you. Tap in. Happy Tuesday, guys. So, quick word, quick download I want to share with you guys. This is definitely not for everyone, but it is for you. You will know, your spirit will alert you. So, tap in. Some of you guys are going to be called to relocate, or God have already made it clear to you that you are to relocate, but then there's something holding you back. That can be just being very comfortable and familiar with where you currently are. That can be you're holding on to hopes, to something that is not part of your destiny. That can look like a relationship or just hopes of something that may not be in the will of God for your life. That can look like friends and family entanglements, even though that it's toxic. But God is trying to pull you from where you currently are, because a lot of the blessings and a lot of the promises that God has promised you is actually going to be where He's calling you to relocate. If God is calling you to relocate and you know it and you're ready to go, but you feel like you don't know where, then sit still for a while. Don't make a move, because anytime God is calling you to go somewhere, He'll make it clear. He'll make it clear through doors that opens up for you. He'll make it clear through people, through convictions, things like that. He'll make a way. So wherever you start to feel the favor is leading, then that may be the potential place He's calling you to. But if you do feel the conviction currently, but you just don't know where yet, be still until He makes it clear to you. Those of you who know God is calling you to move, but you still have that struggle, that internal struggle of, well, I don't know anybody there. Like, I'm so used to this and I'm afraid, and fear is like really holding you back. I think that's probably normal for a lot of people, right? But remember, fear is about stepping into it afraid. I don't think I can remember any situation where I've been fearful to do something and the fear subsided first. It's no, you go when you're afraid and all, right? But this is when you know that you know that you know you have a word from God, and you're just not trying to do something based on your own accord. Because if it's a word from God, then He has to have things aligned for you when you get there. It's not going to look like things are aligned now, but it's when you get into the atmosphere. Once you get into the atmosphere, then you will then start to see how things are literally aligned. Things will start to fall into place. You'll find that home. You'll meet those people. The door will open. Everything will literally be a breeze for you once you get there. Sometimes you have to be in the land. You have to be in the territory first before you start to see fruit. Many times you're not going to see the fruit prior to where God is calling you. To those of you who've already relocated, be patient with yourself. If you feel like you made the wrong decision, you feel like you're not seeing any fruit, because a lot of the times God will put you on the land and you have to get stable in the land first. You have to search out the land first. The foundation have to be built first. So if you're not seeing any fruit yet, don't think you made the wrong decision, because the enemy will literally get into your head and make you feel like you need to go back. You made the wrong decision, all that stuff, because you're not seeing fruit quickly. So be patient with yourself there, and things will start to come together. Lastly, to those of you who know that you know that you know that you know you have a certain promise from God, and as you know, this is a whole process of a process of a process. Many of you got turned off from looking at the comments on the not last recording, but the recording on this particular topic. A lot of you guys got turned off because things just weren't moving, and the desire just seemed to have dissipated at some point, and then the desire returned again, not as potent as it was, not as profound as it initially was, but then there was a desire that came back for the promise, but it's still not at full force. However, you're starting to see favor in a different direction. Okay, be very careful here, because remember, the closer you get to the promise, the more counterfeits are going to arise. The more the enemy is going to try to tempt you in one way or another. But don't see, this is why you have to be so spiritually connected, because sometimes you aren't to shut what currently is working down completely. Sometimes that's something that God will kind of give you a little something to kind of work on or bypass time while he is literally finishing up the promise. Because at some point there was some type of stagnation where God had to really go in there and work on some things. He had to really go and shake up the promised land because there were a lot of stubborn things going on. There are giants in the territory. People just not wanting to leave out of the territory. People not wanting to change, things like that. So God had to really go over and fight that battle for you. This is why many of you guys are in the season of being still right now, because there's nothing more you can do. You've done your part, meaning there were things that God told you to do, things God may have convicted you to prepare, say, or do. Well, you've done all that, and then there was still no movement. And then that's when you got frustrated. And then that's when God snatched that desire, because he now knows, like, okay, you're done here. There's nothing else you can do. Now, this is all on me. There was a partnership in the beginning, but there's some unexpected things that has happened, battles that you can't war against. This is all me here. So I'm going to snatch this desire from you, put you in a season of stillness. Let me go and shake up this land and territory. And it's not going to be pretty. This is why you feel all that heaviness and exhaustion in the spiritual realm, because a lot of things are happening that you don't know about. So in the meantime, you may have already had something open up for you and it seems good, right? But then you're questioning yourself, is this a counterfeit? Or is this God telling me to go this way because the promise is never going to be fulfilled? Be very, very careful there, because sometimes God, again, he would just give you something to kind of just work on, because he know you can't sit still but for so long before you start losing your mind. So there's a certain something that comes open and is looking really good, or looking like you're having some fruit in that area. Whatever you do, stay locked in to the promises that you made with God about the promise itself. There were certain downloads. There were certain things that God told you cannot do. You can't get too far off course. You can't do this. You can't do that. Stay locked in on those promises, even though you're currently moving in a different direction. Let God do what he does on the other side. And when the door opens to the promise, then you'll be prepared. You haven't got yourself too far off course. So you have to be disciplined in the area of the thing that you're currently having some excitement about. But don't get too excited, because when that door opens, you have to be prepared. It's your girl, Kizzy Rock.